Hi, welcome to another edition of the Saturday Sauna Night podcast. I'm Steve.
I'm Kyle.
Tonight is our Craig Lake special. This weekend, starting tomorrow night, we're going to be spending the weekend out at Craig Lake State Park. Can you hand me that brochure?
Yeah.
This map, yeah. This has seen a little bit of action. It's been rolling around on the floor of my truck. This is Craig Lake State Park. This is kind of the current map. Probably can't really see that very good from back here. Few quick things. Craig Lake holds the title as Michigan's most remote state park. It's about an hour west of Marquette, not far from Van Riper State Park, which has a modern campground right on Lake Michigamme. Craig Lake, I'm really excited because I've passed through the park mostly in the wintertime, the snowmobile trail. Is it Trail 8? I believe it's Trail 8. It used to run a more southerly route through the Three Lakes area, kind of through a big swamp. But there were always problems with the groomer, falling through water holes, getting frozen up. They rerouted the trail up through Craig Lake State Park. Been through there a couple times. Once on side-by-sides, and once just to drive out. This was a couple months ago this summer, and just check out the parking lot and the trail, the entrance trail, and sort of see what the setup was. So, a little bit about its history. You can look this stuff up online. It actually has a history with the Miller Brewing Company, and Frederick Miller, I think, was the kind of the main guy, and had a couple cabins on the lake, and would fly in family and friends. He actually had a float plane, and they'd fish. And actually, I was watching an episode of Discovering about this, but they were talking to somebody from the DNR, and sounds like the fishing regulations that are still in effect now actually originated with Frederick Miller. He had a strict catch and release policy for the muskie and the pike, and I think pretty much everything. And so that's kind of how it got its reputation for the excellent fishing that it's supposed to have now. What else? So we're gonna be backcountry camping. There are yurts available. They do book up pretty far in advance, but there's yurts available for rent on several of the lakes. I think Teddy Lake has one, Cowaden Lake, maybe, and then Craig Lake has a couple of cabins, the original cabins from the Miller family. So there's something like there's well over 9,000 acres of land now that's state owned, being Michigan residents. By extension, we are technically landowners. So we're backcountry camping. As of now, this is the last season where this is going to apply. It's first come, first serve for backcountry sites. So come in, grab one of these self-registration envelopes, pay the fee if you don't have the recreation passport, which if you live in Michigan, why wouldn't you pay the extra $12? What are you, silly? And stick it in the little pay pipe and get your site. That's how we're planning on doing it. Starting next season in May, it's going to be reservation only online. So that was a big new thing that came out this summer that they announced. What else do I want to talk about? I think that's it for now. Kyle has some thoughts on doing this type of camping because I've never actually really done backcountry camping. Other than maybe one time with you.
Which was...
Sini.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but that was still that was like a rustic campground. There was a water pump and...
There was a pump, there was a fire pit. I feel like there was probably a table, but that's about it. It's not like there was electricity or any other campers as far as I remember. I think somebody drove through, but...
People do bring pop-ups there occasionally. It's not... The road in is not as rough as the road in Craig Lake.
Not that it's a huge campground. It's 10 sites, or I might be misremembering, but
No, you're right. And actually, so Michigan has state forest campgrounds that are rustic, and most of them you can bring a small camper to. Bass Lake is one of them as well. This is a little more rustic than that, though, just because it's either hike or paddle in only. So you don't have the luxury of parking next to your site.
right.
Yeah. So you've done this sort of thing before, right? Like, to some extent?
To some extent. Yeah, never at Craig Lake. This will be a new one for me, but, a few times back in the day, tried this kind of camping where it really wasn't even a campsite. You just kind of paddled to the other side of the lake and found a spot that was sort of open, gather some rocks and make a fire pit and try to clear off the ground for a tent if you have one of those, or hang up your hammock, whatever you're going to do. Obviously with that kind of camping, packing is a much bigger deal than if you're going to the Holiday Inn for a weekend. So we're trying to work through some of that, and I'm sure we'll get into that later with all this stuff in front of me.
Yeah, sorry about my mess. It's kind of like that for a reason, because I wanted to show. I got a bunch of new stuff that I haven't used yet. I think I got it for my birthday, actually. I think Sarah got me a lot of that for my birthday. And it has not seen action, just some things for being out in the wilderness. So we're planning on taking a tent. I have a 6-person tent, which is plenty of space for 3 people. You know how tent, when it says the number of people, it's like, yeah, if you literally sleep right next to each other, like, pork sausages. So we're doing a tent, bringing some tarps, because I think we're going to have a little bit of rain. Not steady rain and not all weekend. It looks to be kind of spotty off and on, which is fine. I don't mind a little bit of rain. It's fall. It's to be expected. What else are we doing? And then as far as getting in, so the hike in from the main parking lot at Craig Lake, the hike in down to sort of the trailhead that intersects with the North Country Trail, and then the little canoe launch on Craig Lake. It's about a quarter mile, but it's an actual improved gravel trail. You're not bushwhacking a quarter mile. So we're doing that. We're bringing a canoe for you guys.
Us guys.
And you and DC.
Okay.
And then I'm taking a kayak because I don't know. I like my kayak. It's nimble and easy to move around, and it is not as comfortable to sit in as the canoe. I'll give them that, but I do like it for fishing. Plus, I have rod holders on it. I had rod holders on the canoe, but I kind of sold them along with my boat.
Nice.
So, I don't think you're going to be doing a lot of trolling, though.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, with that, why don't we talk a little bit about the fishing? So, I don't know a whole lot about it other than what I've seen. There's a lot on YouTube, and especially in the era of GoPro and being able to get, footage doing this kind of stuff. Most of the fishing, as I mentioned, is catch and release. Craig Lake is kind of the main lake, obviously. That's what the park's named for. There are, however, let me see if I get this right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 named lakes in the park. Multiple little ponds. The west branch of the Pashiki River. And then, what else? So, all of those lakes, except for Lake Kuwaitan, are no motorized vessels. I think all of the lakes, even Lake Kuwaitan, that's the one that actually has a paved boat launch, and you can have a motorboat on it. That's down here. All of the other ones are no motors, and all of the lakes are catch and release for pike, for muskie, and for smallmouth bass. So you can keep walleye. It's a little different from the standard regulations. Still a 15-inch minimum for walleye, but you can only keep 2 instead of 5. And then any panfish species you can keep just per the regular fishing regulations. Largemouth bass are also catch and release. So basically any bass, unless there's a rock bass. So I'm looking forward to trying to catch a big pike. I have a couple of spinners I bought that I'm looking forward to trying out. This is a Blue Fox size 4. It's got kind of a little bell-shaped thing on it that vibrates, makes noise. And then this one, this Meps, this is called a Black Fury. These are pretty dark lakes, so I thought this one with the orange spots and the little, the little tail on it might be a good one to try. You can get musky-size spinners that are, triple the size of that. Those are a more specialty item, a little harder to find. They don't sell those in every store around here. They're also quite expensive. Looking at probably $15-20 for a single lure.
Nice.
So don't want to be casting that into the trees.
As I tend to do.
Otherwise, bringing a bunch of Rapalas with. Quick side note that may or may not apply to this trip is so there was a question. Well, multiple people in our friend circle who we fish with have wondered this. On lakes where it's artificial lures only, does that include scented baits like gulp? So gulp, I have some in there somewhere, but it's, or like Berkeley power bait, really anything that's artificial but has a scent to it, like, is that legal? So I've heard multiple conflicting reports. A number of years ago, a couple of my friends were fishing Deer Lake, just north of Ishpeming, which is also a catch and release lake. And they were using artificial something, but they had a container of gulp on their boat. And apparently a conservation officer stopped to do a boat check, license check, and said, hey, you can't have that on there. No scented baits. Now, I don't think they didn't get a ticket or anything, but he just told them that. Contrast that with, fast forward to 2020, we're ice fishing.
Twin Lake. Okay.
Yeah. We're ice fishing, and it was a lake that you could use anything, so it didn't matter. But there was a CO who came out and was talking to us, checked our licenses, saw if we caught anything. But I wanted to ask about the Type D trout lakes. So if you know anything about the trout regulations, there's trout Type D lakes. They're considered trophy lakes, although I've had very limited success on them. You're not allowed to use any live bait. You're not allowed to have like food or not scented material. The guide states it as any organic or processed food, any live or dead bait or preserved bait. So basically anything that is living or was once living. Anyway, I asked this CO about that, and yeah, you are allowed to use scented baits as long as they're artificial. Is the short version. The language in the guide has been updated within the last probably 4 or 5 years to reflect that. It did used to state specifically no scented bait. Last week we mentioned Clear Lake, the state record brook trout lake. That's a Type D lake. There still is a wooden sign. It's pretty old, but there's still a wooden sign at the boat launch that says artificial baits, no scented material, but that's out of date, apparently, per multiple. Well, CO plus someone I spoke with on the phone from the field office in Marquette when I was asking about trout regulations within the last year. Probably it was 2021. So sounds like they've eased up on that. So for Craig Lake, sounds like that would be a go if you wanted to cast with gulp, especially if you're walleye fishing. Although pike, I'm sure, would inhale one of those.
They might.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go through some of this gear, because even though it's random stuff I've collected, we're probably going to be sharing some of it. So, the first thing here, we're probably not going to be sharing this. This is a life straw, and so water access is going to be limited, drinking water access, especially for the campsites that you have to backpack into or canoe into. So I've wanted one of these for a while, but I finally got one. Haven't opened it yet. Want to open it right now. Do a little unboxing here. I'm sure it's very exciting to look at. So here it is. Looks like it's got a little lanyard on it. Wear it around your neck. Looks like a little mouthpiece that pops off. And then looks like the filter's down here. So a little bit of info about this thing. It's removes 99.9999999% of bacteria. Could you do like a parabola to show me like the...
I've never met somebody in my life that uses that many significant figures, seriously.
Yeah, I think that's marketing, isn't it?
Who's measuring 0.0000001% of bacteria?
They have some really accurate equipment. Precise equipment. Sorry, accuracy's different.
Either that or they ran Lake Superior through this straw.
Apparently this is good for up to 1,000 gallons before you have to replace the filter. Meets U.S. EPA drinking water standards, which I don't know what the EPA is like now. I wouldn't have trusted that statement during the Trump era. But it told me somewhere, okay, it's a 0.2 micron filter pore size. So a micron, that's a micrometer, right? Like a micrometer, a millionth of a meter, right? Sorry, we're both kind of nerdy with like science and numbers. So that's smaller than even what the DNR recommends you bring. So basically you can drink from a mug puddle with one of these bad boys. The other place I've seen people use these, so obviously this is a big deal for like backcountry camping. It also is a big deal for people who do the Crusher, which is the summer cousin of the Marjagiesic. It's a big gravel backwoods bike event held every summer. 906 Adventure Team puts it on, but a lot of the times there's limited water access, and you can only carry so much on your back. So people bring one of these with, stop off at a river, get some water, move on.
I have a something to filter water. It's not quite the same as a straw. It's like a pouch, I think, that is used as a reservoir, and then it goes through a filter after that. Sort of a different method, but
how much does it like actually hold water? Or
yeah,
you put it in another container.
No, the pouch would be the container you'd put water in, and then from there.
Oh, nice.
I'm gonna bring it. I'm also probably just gonna bring some distilled water from the store and make life easy.
Yeah,
but you know, if I need it, I can drink something.
So that's our water plan. I'm also bringing my biking Camelback. It's a 3-liter Camelback, just easy to take with. And I mean, I don't even know if I'm going to drink 3 liters of water over the whole weekend. Probably should. Here's another thing, pretty simple, pretty basic, just a hatchet. Haven't opened it yet. Probably not going to open it now because it looks like it's got a lot of plastic to remove, and that would be really obnoxious. You do? Yeah. So just pretty straightforward, simple hatchet. So one thing, another thing I forgot to mention about the camping at Craig Lake, you're not allowed to bring firewood into the park, so it's using downed wood you find or in and around your site. So hopefully hatchet helps with that. Brings me to this guy. This is a little folding saw. Same idea. Fairly compact, but hopefully that just helps with getting some firewood. Also, in the interest of starting a fire, because I know it's supposed to rain, I have no idea if this works or not, but I found them at Walmart in the camping aisle. It's just a little fire starter log, and it's supposed to light even when damp. So I got 2 of these. Hopefully we're okay on that. Trying to think if there was anything else. Oh, can you hand me that box over there? Yeah. So this is a dry bag. This is a 20 liter. Haven't opened it yet, but being that it's supposed to rain, I think this will be a good thing to have. Not really sure what we're going to store in there, but we're going to store something. One thing they recommend, and by they I mean the DNR recommends for Craig Lake, is if you're going to bring food to your campsite, you put it in a bag and hoist it up into a tree at least 12 feet in the air between trees, so you're not attracting bears. I was thinking this maybe could be used for that, but we're hoping to camp within a reasonable enough hike of our truck that we're not going to be taking a ton of food to the campsite, so we'll see how that goes. Pepper spray. So hopefully we don't have any scuffles with bears, but it's fat bear season where they're eating a lot and active.
Be a fun story.
Yeah, I mean black bears in Michigan, they're super lazy. They mostly eat dandelions and bugs, but I still don't want to get between one, especially if it has cubs. So just, like, hey, I think you're pretty neat, but I respect your distance, right? Just like Lenny Pepperbottom.
I ran into one on County Road 510 once, and it just kind of meandered by. I waved, and
yeah, black bears are pretty chill. It's not like out in the Rockies where you're gonna have a grizzly that's like stalking you. They do, apparently, or is that polar bears I'm thinking of? I think grizzlies will too.
I don't know anything about bear behavior, but
I know only what I've watched in a documentary once. Otherwise, I've only seen bears from the road. This is a phone bag, so it's got little tabs that kind of flip open here, and then opens up from the top. And yeah, I just got a new phone recently, so I'm going to try not to put that in the drink. My wife won't be too happy about that. So I'm actually going to try to use this and just kind of wear it around my neck and keep things handy that way. Oh, I don't know if we're going to be doing this, but this is a little magnesium fire starter. Cool to have, nice to have in emergency. I'm bringing a blowtorch, though. I'm not taking chances. It's a weed torch. It takes a little 1 pound propane tank. We're going to bring that bad boy, and hopefully we won't have any fire issues.
Hydrocarbons.
Because if not, we're going to be making the half-hour trek back to US 41 and probably eating dinner at the Cozy Inn, so...
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, just the length of the trip. What do we got next?
I don't know.
First aid. This has never been used, but it's obviously been opened because it's missing a lot of things. What do we have here? Waterproof matches. More waterproof matches. I don't really know. Oh, this is a whistle. This is like an emergency whistle, which I don't know how useful that would be at Craig Lake. Oh, it's got a compass on it too, because there's not that many people there, but I guess you could try. There's some safety pins in there.
Here's another one too, I guess.
Yeah, well, this is a watertight container. That's mostly why I have this. This is a newer first aid kit I got, just cheap on Amazon. It's got some gauze and some basic, Q-tips, tweezers for pulling slivers. My wife's a nurse, and she has had to pull treble hooks out of people's hands before in the ER. We're going to try to avoid that this weekend. I've personally never had an issue with getting my fishing lures stuck on me. So let's try to not do that. What's yeah, power bank. So this one, I actually got this for doing some longer bike events, for keeping my my app I use for recording bike rides, keeping my phone charged. Especially some of the events I've done, they've wanted you to keep a GPX file of your ride and then submit it to prove you did it. So this actually charges super fast. I think you press this here. Yep. So the 4 little lights are lighting up. I've got a full charge right now. Hoping there's not going to be internet, so I'm going to try to conserve power. Maybe put her in airplane mode, because I don't think there's going to be reception either. But I do want to take pictures and video. So I'm hoping, shutting off the cell signal and all the other stuff, plus this. Hopefully we can make her 2 days. This is the rest of the first aid kit. Apparently I didn't shut it. Oh, that's a knife. Okay, can never have enough knives.
Agree.
DC once quoted a movie and said money can't buy knives. I don't really know what that means or what movie it's from, but how does this open? Okay, that's an American flag patch. That's pretty cool. Shout out to my homies in the USA. Okay, I don't know how this opens. Okay, here we go. From the side, I guess. Just seeing what else is in here. A paracord bracelet. I don't really know what you... Oh, it's got a compass on it. It's
Very
got a
cool.
little compass on it. I do not know what those are for. Some sort of keychain thing, but it's like a really...
Oh, this is one of those handheld chainsaws you use on like tiny trees.
Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. This looks like a whistle of sorts. Another emergency whistle. A couple carabiners. Is that how you say that? Carabiner?
Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean. This is a pen, I guess, in case you have to
It's
write,
really cool.
you know, love notes, or, you know, soldier on the battlefield writing letters back home, you know.
On the lake.
We'll probably use it to fill out this self-registration envelope that I've kept since the end of July. Seeing if there's any other goodies in here. Fishing tackle. That's kind of handy, actually. Like in an emergency. Had to go catch some rock bass to survive. I'd do it. Yeah, just some paracord, various things. Any idea what that's for? Holding something, it looks like.
Having fun.
Not sure. That's basically it as far as like extra gear that I don't normally bring camping. Like I said, we're taking a tent. They all have fire rings, so we don't have to worry about that. Some of the closer sites do have picnic tables, actually. Otherwise, I didn't really think about bringing chairs. I'm just counting on us getting one of the sites with a picnic table, and if not, I guess we'll find a rock to sit on. I don't need to put it up on camera, but I'm bringing my graph, my sonar. Gonna put that in the kayak with me, just because I have no idea, you know, the contour of these lakes. I do have a copy of the it's the Western Upper Peninsula fishing maps, and it's got the lakes of Craig Lake, so you can kind of see an overview. I do know Craig has a couple of 30-foot spots. Crooked Lake, which is the closest one to Craig, you got a portage across a trail to get to it. Crooked is a lot shallower. That one's supposed to be where all the smallmouth bass action is, but I think there's muskie in there too. What else you want to add, Kyle? I think we pretty much covered it.
Yeah, we probably want to wrap up.
Yeah, all right. Well, thanks again for tuning in. We're going to try to get as much video and pics as we can. Thanks for checking out Saturday Sauna Night. I'm Steve.
I'm still Kyle.
And we'll be back next week to talk more about how Craig Lake goes. Thanks.